Okay, guys, I am worked up. I am worked up, baby. I am worked up for this episode, if I could say that another thousand times. So, there have been some big developments in terms of Chick-fil-A, in terms of radical left wingers, in terms of immigration. I don't always get political, but I have been getting more political the last couple days because the culture war is heating up, my brothers, my sisters, everybody. No matter who you are, there are some big developments coming. In my opinion, we've hit an inflection point in the culture war in the United States, and I don't know where to go from here. I don't know where it's going to go. I have some ideas. Are we going to hit civil war? I think that's extremely possible and probably likely. But let's discuss. You can follow me on my website, tstutch.com, YouTube, Taylor space Stutch, Taylor space Stutch, Stuch. Twitter, tstutch1. Email me at tayradio1@gmail.com, tayradio1@gmail.com. Thank you. Enjoy the episode. Okay, guys. I am about to lose my shit. I'm about to lose my mother effing loving shit. And here's why. Because Chick-fil-A has, as everyone has said, they've bent the knee. Chick-fil-A has bent the knee. What do I mean by that? And I'm sorry if I'm blowing out your ear. So, Chick-fil-A donations. So, let me go ahead and tell you what is going on. Chick-fil-A has been a interesting battleground around the culture war. So, what has happened is Chick-fil-A has officially ended giving to certain charities that are considered anti-LGBTQ, A, G, A, F, X, M, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. And conservatives are totally aghast because we have been, and I mean, I'm not mainstream conservative, but I am on the conservative end of the spectrum. The thing is about this fucking shit is that Chick-fil-A has been heavily supported by right-leaning people for a while. And, you know, there have been a lot of left-wing boycotts against Chick-fil-A starting back in, several years back. And though recently, two Chick-fil-A locations, I think, almost closed down. There was one in, what is it? There was one at, one in Canada and one in the UK. One in the UK was actually closed down. I don't know about the one in Canada. Was closed down after there was a protest for so long after it was opened. And here's the thing, is that now Chick-fil-A is kowtowing. It appears they are kowtowing to the radical left-wingers by not giving money to the anti-LGBTQ charities, which one of them is like the Salvation Army and another was like a Christian athletics thing. So, we're in for it, guys. We're in for a war. That's what we are in. Let me go ahead and read this from the Washington Post, from the liberal Washington Post. Chick-fil-A drops donations that angered LGBTQ groups and conservative leaders cry betrayal. And this post has been updated. Well, thank God, because the Washington Post sucks. On Monday, the charitable arm affiliated with Chick-fil-A revealed that it had overhauled its donation strategy and had stopped giving money to several organizations, donations that had long angered LGBTQ activists. The Chick-fil-A Foundation announced in a statement that it planned to concentrate its giving in the areas of education, homelessness, and hunger, and that it planned to work with a smaller group of charities than it had previously. It plans to reassess its giving annually instead of entering into a multi-year arrangements with charities, it said. The groups it gives to could include faith-based and non-faith-based charities, the organization said. But the bigger news was which organizations would not be getting millions of Chick-fil-A money. A representative confirmed to the Washington Post that it had ceased giving to Fellowship of Christian Athletes and the Salvation Army, two religiously affiliated charities after multi-year commitments ended in 2018. So it says the news was immediately greeted with dismay among conservatives who saw the move as a capitulation to protesters who led boycotts of the family-owned chain beginning in 2012. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee was among those expressing disappointment. Others label it backstabbing and betrayal by a company that has long espoused a Christian ethos. According to CNN, another fake news outlet, the FCA states opposition to same-sex marriage on its website and writes in its employee application that neither heterosexual sex outside of marriage nor homosexual acts constitute an alternative lifestyle acceptable to God. According to Snopes, the Salvation Army also opposes. According to Snopes, this is like a fake news bonanza, a fake news parade. I'm reading from the Washington Post. They're talking about the CNN. I mean, they're using Snopes as a legit website. Why am I reading this? Because I think they have the overall picture correct. In 2012, Chick-fil-A's donations were already controversial when statements against same-sex marriage by the CEO, Dan Cathy, sparked nationwide boycotts and the counter boycotts. So, very interesting. While many conservatives lamented the foundation's moves, LGBTQ activists were not immediately impressed. If Chick-fil-A is serious about their pledge to stop holding hands with divisive anti-LGBTQ activists, then further transparency is needed. Oh, man. Yeah. So, here's the situation. Let me read a little bit more here about the actual statement from Chick-fil-A. So, here's the bottom line, is it's hard to know exactly if this was 100% a capitulation to the left. It's hard to know that for sure. It really is. If it is, I will say this. If Chick-fil-A did this as a result of left-wing pressure, this represents a increase, I don't know what to say, an increase in the severity of the culture war. And I believe we are, if this is the case, and it appears to be the case, the thing is perception is reality. I don't know what Chick-fil-A was thinking. I haven't read their entire statement yet. It looks like they're trying to be very, they're trying to narrow down what they give their money to. There could be other reasons for that. But if it is for left-wing capitulation, then we are moving one step closer to an all-out civil war in this country. Now, you might go, Taylor, why on earth would you say that? It's just Chick-fil-A. Because Chick-fil-A isn't just Chick-fil-A. What Chick-fil-A represented was one of the few corporate one of the few business strangleholds or holdouts against the radical left. Because we all see what's going on. Gillette had the anti-toxic masculinity commercial. Sprite and Coke just came out with one. You can come out and say anything you want against white people, against straight people, against Christians, against Jews. You can say anything you want against all of them. Anyone who is left of a communist, you can talk all the shit you want. You can run commercials. You can run ads. But if you stand for your religious principles, and you're a Christian, then you lose. You lose on all grounds. And what is going to happen, in my opinion, is we are going to see this escalate much further beyond this situation. So there's actually a lot of stuff happening at once. I tend to believe that right now we are in an inflection point. So the reason I say that is because on Twitter, I see I've noticed a shift in the debate. I've noticed a shift in the speed about some things that are coming out. We were talking about Epstein the last couple of weeks, impeachment and all that. And something that, let me go ahead and say something that Tim Pool brought up. Okay, so he talked about how, I know I'm kind of rambling, but Tim Pool talked about how the one reason why the radical left gets their way with corporations, with platforms on the internet, all this is because they're willing to be violent. They're willing to be physically disruptive. So they're willing to go outside of Chick-fil-A and protest for hours. They're willing to dox people. They're willing to go outside of a headquarters and physically assault people. They're willing to attack Trump supporters and all this shit. All right, they're all willing to do this. So because of this situation, what's happening is the non-leftists, so anybody who's not a communist Marxist, we are losing all of our ground because we are busy trying to either start businesses or make money or do things with lives and families and stuff like that. And Tim Pool made a really good point. He was like, look, the problem is conservatives are not fighting back. They're not fighting back. They're not doing anything to fix the situation. But the reason I predict a civil war or a physical conflict that's going to be more widespread throughout the country is because the radical left-wingers are going to push the situation until there is no place left to go except fight physically. So, going to hold for a sponsor. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, do you want to record your own podcast like me? Well, Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. That's right, mofos. It's easy. Check it out. Okay, so basically here's how I see this playing out. And it looks like it's been moving in this direction for a little while. A lot of people have seen the writing on the wall, but as somebody who I want to be an optimist about the future. I don't want to be pessimistic about the future, about the way things are going. But here's the bottom line, is that conservatives, people on the right, need to get together and we have to start attacking left-wing institutions the same way they are attacking the foundations of the country, right? I am a registered Republican, but I don't give a shit about the Republicans. Here's what I do care about. I do care about businesses being able to give to charities that they want without being harassed all the time. I do care about people being able to set up on a college campus and being able to talk about their club, if it's a right wing, left wing, whatever. I do support open debate and discussion about ideas. I don't give a shit about Republicans. I don't care. I could care less about being a Republican, about being a Democrat. I don't give a shit. What I care about is that I care about rule of law, and I care about being able to fight out differences in the arena of law and rule and law and order and fair play. Here's the bottom line, though. The radical left-wingers, those pieces of shit on the left, are not going to stop until everybody who voted for Trump is not able to have a job. They are constantly attacking and trying to get people kicked out of banks. They're getting people kicked off of financial platforms like banking. They're getting people kicked off of tech platforms like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. These people, these radical left-wing pieces of garbage, absolutely need the same trash put right back in their faces. This is what they need. They need the same shit put in their faces. Otherwise, we are doomed to fail. Here's the thing, though. And when I say doomed, like I said, I'm not talking about Republicans. I mean anyone who likes the society that we are in. If you like the United States as a country, if you like a rule of law system, if you like a system where companies can support who they want, if you like a system where we can have freedom of speech on campuses, if you like this shit, then we eventually are going to have to do something to stop the radical left-wing garbage heap from taking over the entirety of the country. Because basically, a small vocal minority of radical Marxist communist LB2 fucksticks have totally taken control of the power structures of this country. Now, I don't know who's got the power at the top, right? Because, like I said, I wrote an article about this on my blog. I've talked about it already. There is a level of people in this country who are above prosecution. Now, the radical lefty pawns that are showing up at Chick-fil-A, that's not them. They are just pawns in some weird fucking thing. I don't know how their brains have been parasitized, just like Gad said has talked about. Their brains have become eaten by a Marxist communist worm, and there's nothing we can do to stop them at this point, in my opinion. But what we can do is show the people, the half of the country or the majority who like what they have, we can stand up for them. And I don't know the best way to do this. So I'm on Twitter. I'm on, there's a guy named Hotep Jesus was talking about how, he made a good point. He said, look, if y'all motherfuckers are going to turn your back on Chick-fil-A, you're turncoats. Like, he reframed the situation really well. Chick-fil-A is not the problem. The problem is nobody's standing, he didn't say this, but what I gathered from it was the problem isn't Chick-fil-A. The problem is that nobody is doing anything to stop this leftist madness. But here's why I think we're destined for a physical conflict. Here's why I think so. Because if the right starts fighting back, then the left will become violent, more violent, right? So the people on the right are the ones that actually have the guns and are actually the survivalist types. But the left has the tech mouthpiece, they have the media, they have all of that. So here's how, in my opinion, I see it playing out. If people on the right mobilize, they do what they can, and what happens is they mobilize, they try to fight back. Okay, left-wingers counterattack. The left-wingers show up, they start causing trouble, a couple scuffles go down. As we have already seen, the people on the right, like the Proud Boys, are being publicly shamed and put in jail and prison for self-defense. The people on the left, like the Antifa terrorists, are not. There have been one or two cases where, I mean, don't get me wrong, some Antifa people are being prosecuted, but people on the right are the ones being targeted by the media for prosecution. What they're trying, and so what I see happening is that people on the right fight back, or people that are non-leftist fight back. As the fighting escalates, then as the courts and prosecutions intervene, they are controlled, the prosecutors in all the major cities are usually controlled by left-wing fucks. So the left-wingers then say, okay, well, we're in charge, we're going to prosecute the right-wingers because they're the ones who started this, even though that's not the case. They would prosecute the people on the right, and the people on the right, or non-leftists, realize, okay, there's nothing we can do. We have to let the system become destroyed. And then what happens from that point is the system is destroyed, it collapses, and it fragments into different pieces. So maybe Texas, maybe, Texas, becomes another nation again. California becomes its own country. I don't know. I don't know how it plays out. But I'll tell you what, I do not see how with the escalation of what's happening in this country, the radical left, we keep thinking that everything's okay. I just, Tim Pool, I listened to him yesterday, and he just talked about how that Fox News has lost 70 subscribers on Tucker Carlson over the period of like a couple years. And I'm like, this is crazy. Sponsors. And I'm like, this is fucking insane that they're losing sponsors like this because nobody has a backbone to stand up to the left. And if you do have a backbone to stand up to the left, then the government steps in for the left and prosecutes you for standing up for yourself. So I don't see this going anywhere productive. I see this going straight down a shithole into violence. I don't want it to be that way, but I don't see it ending any other way. Another thing that we're seeing is the immigration situation. So with the immigration situation, right now, this is why I think things are turning up. On the right, there's been a split among Republicans and conservatives like Ben Shapiro and conservatives like Michelle Malkin. So there's a guy named Nick Fuentes. He has said some very controversial stuff. I went back and listened to some of it. Some of it is, I don't agree with several things that he has said. But that's with everybody, right? There's many things I don't agree with on a lot of people. Now, he has said some more offensive things than a lot of people. But him and some other people, including Michelle Malkin, are pushing the idea of immigration and how unchecked, illegal, and legal immigration is going to fundamentally destroy this country because they vote Democrat. My dad has been saying this forever. He talked about Pat Buchanan's book, Death of the West, years ago, and I always understood it, but I didn't want to believe it to be true. But now we're in the fight of the century, it seems. It seems as though as the demographics change, which people like in California are proud of, it seems as though as that changes, what's going to happen is more Democrats, more left-wing politics are going to be brought into the forefront. And here's the other thing, is that people should not be fooled. No matter your race, if you are black, if you are Asian, if you are Hispanic, if you are whatever, if you're white, no matter where you're from, the more immigration that comes in, the more they will be encouraged, no matter who they are, to attack the systems that maintain the country, and they will be told that if you are an Asian, black, or if you are non-white and you support anything conservative, you will be attacked as a white supremacist. So keep that in mind. In the future, you will be labeled a white supremacist if you are not white and you support anything that is not communist. That's where we're headed. That's where we're going. We might already be there now. So, and if you're white, this is the thing that troubles me. I hate bringing race into this shit. I hate this shit. Absolutely. I hate bringing race into it. But race is going to become even more important because as the immigration situation continues to get out of hand, and it's not even that, immigration would not be as big of a problem if people didn't identify so strongly with their race. But what's going to happen is the radical left-wing Marxists believe that white people are the enemy of the world. So as more immigration happens in the U.S. and there's more anti-white sentiment, white people are going to have to get together in their own political and other types of organizations just to survive what's coming. So that's my opinion. Oh, I hate this shit, man. I hate getting political like this, but the culture war is on full on display, baby. We are seeing some strange movements. Immigration is going to be huge in the coming weeks. It's going to be huge this year as the election continues. Immigration is going to be huge. Radical left-wing activism is going to be huge. Email me your comments and your questions at tayradio1@gmail.com, T-A-Y radio1@gmail.com. Follow me on YouTube and subscribe, Taylor space Stutch, Taylor space Stutch, S-T-U-C-H. Follow me on Twitter, tstutch1. Follow me on, go to my website, tstutch.com, tstuch.com. Thank you for listening, and Godspeed. Remember, do your shit, work hard, stand up for what you believe in, and don't be afraid of the radical left-wing fucks.